basically I came up with the idea for the subnet and pitched it to him. And then he obviously saw some value in it, thankfully. And here we are today.
And what would you say is the reason Bittensor is the best place in the world to do what you're doing with video, which currently is video upscaling?
I think evolution is probably the best way to describe it. We can take an idea and then within a really short amount of time, we can evolve it into like an amazing product. So for instance, we started with our base miner. We launched the subnet. I think we bought the subnet slot on the 1st of April. And then maybe a month ago, we were already outperforming our nearest competitors on the upscaling. So if you look at the evolution in, a couple of months, what we've done with our mining team, who are essentially the powerhouse behind the subnet, it's absolutely incredible. And it's not something that I think you could replicate in the open market. To have 256 machine learning engineers working specifically on your problem and only your problem and trying to outdo the next guy just creates such a powerful output for your product. I just don't think you can replicate that anywhere else.
And the job that the miners are doing is exactly what you were doing in the traditional world. So what would you say is the difference in like how it worked in the traditional world back when you were doing it versus what
Sure.
you think the miners are doing or even what the base miner was doing?
Yeah. We can take the base miner model because we know what that's doing. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot quicker to do it with AI. So essentially before it was a manual process. So you'd go through the video, the content frame by frame. You'd have to fix the artifacts. You'd have to, go right back to the masters of the film or however it was made and, clean it up from there. So essentially what the machine learning models do is they can predict where the artifacts should be and they can kind of fill in the gaps. Say you're taking 2K and you're making it 4K. So basically you're doubling the amount of pixels. So what the machine learning can do is it can understand what should be in those pixels to create a smooth, clear picture. And that's something that to do by hand it's prohibitively expensive unless you're working for a Hollywood studio. There's just no point in doing it for, some SD content that you have in an archive somewhere. But now we can do this using AI and we can do it quickly and efficiently and essentially pretty cheaply. Then what it does is it opens up all these content archives from the last 20 years, probably the last 40 years of all this content that's sitting at old TV stations, or take Pokemon for an example. Any big content owner who has these big archives, we can now repurpose that and they can now reuse it, resell it, and get some revenue back from these content archives that they couldn't do before. So it really is quite a powerful tool, and there's a huge amount of use cases for it.
And working within existing technologies, who are your traditional competitors, the people doing this in the traditional world?
Yeah, so I mean, a lot of the platforms do their own, and there's a few people now moving into the AI space as well. There's kind of Topaz Labs, there's Visionula, there's quite a few bigger companies, encoding.com. All of these guys are doing encoding at scale, transcoding at scale, but none so far that we have come across have been able to replicate what we're doing. Getting incredible results from our early tests from our compression engine, particularly, which we had to build ourselves. There's not a single open source project for video compression that basically was fit for purpose. So we had to go away and build one. And because we've done that, we've built it on our own terms and the way we want to do it. It may have taken a little bit longer, maybe cost a bit of money, but now we've got this this is just our base miner. This is, it's an incredibly powerful tool. There's nothing out there that's actually doing it to the standards that we're doing it. So there are competitors out there, but I think people are going to be blown away once we take this to market. I think it's really going to disrupt the market and be a huge success.
Anybody familiar with Bittensor knows once a base miner drops, it's instantly outdated. So
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And we found that with our upscaling, we, within less than a month, we were beating the competitors in the upscaling market, in the AI upscaling market. So, that was probably another month ago. So if we did the test again, which we'll do very soon, I'm going to be very excited to see what the results are. So yeah, so exactly like we talked about, the evolution is just phenomenal. The speed at which things move is incredible. So even maybe if we weren't, beating our competitors with the base model, which I think we will be, give it a couple of months and then the evolution is going to take us there. So yeah, really exciting to build any product on Bittensor for sure.
And I would assume that's what you would say is the selling point to how do you get Netflix or how do you get YouTube to use your product instead of doing it in-house?
Yeah, exactly that. I think we just got to let the results speak for itself. The other thing that the Bittensor subnet allows you to do is the cost saving. Because we can generate revenue within Bittensor, within the subnet, and we're not essentially paying a huge amount of money for an R&D department or offices in New York or offices in LA and R&D department with 256 machine learning engineers. These are cost savings that we can pass on to our partners. So we can, we'll be much cheaper than anyone else that is out there, and we'll be much more efficient. And as you say, the technology is going to it's brilliant for emerging markets, but it's just as good for Western markets. So, we aim to prove the concept in the emerging markets and then bring everyone in after that, just once they see what an amazing tool it is and all the problems we can solve for the platforms and the content owners.
And how do you view your role as the subnet owner? Is it just go out and find customers? How would you define what your role is in this subnet ecosystem?
Well, so yeah, it's a dual role for sure. So product, it's incredibly important that the product does what we need it to. So I'm very involved in the day-to-day design of the product and how it works and essentially what our output will be. So we've got a pretty small team, but we're very pretty small team with a very high output. So we're incredibly busy building the product, building the subnet, the incentive mechanism. There's a lot involved before we can take this to the consumer. But of course, I'm using my network, I'm using my experience, I'm using my understanding of the industry to know where to take this, to know who to talk to know what conferences to go to know how to market it. This is essentially, the product is nothing without a customer. So I need to make sure we have a robust and viable product. And then I'm going to take it to the market and start knocking on some doors and start doing the conferences and showing everyone, what an amazing tool it is. So it's incredibly important that we find those customers for the subnet, because the subnet isn't there just to create a token for us to extract money out of it. It's an engine for the product, and it's the huge market that's, ready for our product, ready for disruption, and that the Bittensor is the engine behind that. So yeah, that's my role, is kind of sitting in both camps. But yeah.
And driving the car of subnet 85 here,
Exactly.
being the subnet token. What are, for lack of a better term, the tokenomics, the incentive to hold the alpha token? What is the reason to hold the alpha token?
Well, we're already, I'm, hugely grateful to all of our investors and our miners that are continuing to hold the token. We're doing, incredibly well for a new subnet, and we're very proud of that. But I think we are doing well because people can see the value in what we're doing and they can understand the market. The value will be, once we take this to market, it's going to be huge. So we're going to have a really successful product. We don't plan to, like I say, extract all of the revenue out of the subnet. We plan to, put the money back in. We want to get better and better. We want to do more research. We want to launch streaming. It's a whole ecosystem around the video processing that we're looking at. So we're definitely, be reinvesting our money back into the subnet, which is only going to help add value to the token. And I think, we're going to be very, very busy. So yeah, I think the value is fairly obvious. Hopefully it's very obvious to the investor, where the size of the market, the product that we're building. And yeah, I just think, it should be very, we're going to have a very busy few months coming up. And I think it's going to be great for the investors.
For your value proposition for video compression, you said video is 80% of internet traffic. So if you compress videos and you compress them by even just 50%, 40% of internet traffic's now going through video.
Yeah, well, exactly. And also, if you think about the cost savings that are involved in every single area of video on the internet. So you've got storage, you've got bandwidth, you've got streaming. All of these things are costing the platforms money. So if you can save them money in all areas, say we cut their storage cost by 50%. and it's 100 million a year, then they're saving $50 million a year just by using our services, and with no detriment to the quality of the product. So it's, I think it's a no-brainer for the platform. So as soon as we, once we're launching and we get that product out there, I think, it's going to be very successful.
And when you say streaming, what does this mean? How does video go into the streaming market?
So, I mean, essentially, all of the videos that we're processing will be streamed. So if you think about, say, we can use Netflix as an example because it's very easy to follow. All of the videos that are sitting on Netflix servers on their CDNs are going to essentially be streamed, right? So, that's one level where we're already working in streaming. But something that we're looking at is a decentralized streaming platform. So where we can run it through video, we can run it through Bittensor. If you're looking at, for instance, look at Hippias, the new storage project that has got essentially edge servers everywhere in the world. If we can utilize that technology, utilize our technology to make the picture quality better, to make the bandwidth smaller, we can have a really successful streaming project built within the Bittensor ecosystem. And I think for anyone who doesn't want to use Amazon, AWS, or any of the bigger, the mainstream tech market, then and they want a truly decentralized streaming product, then I think that's something we'll be able to offer in the near future. And I think that will be massive for Bittensor itself.